everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Her podcast, where we have honest conversations that empower women to grow, heal, lead, and become the woman God has called them to be. I'm your host, Coach Leslieanne, and today I'm so excited to introduce our incredible guest, Dr. Simone Quamina. Dr. Simone is a medical doctor, certified health and life coach, and the founder of Dr. Simone Health and Wellness. She is passionate about helping ambitious women build lives where success and well being can coexist. And through her work in wellness, behavior change, and career coaching, she has empowered countless women to create healthy habits, protect their energy, and pursue careers that support their lives instead of consuming them. And what I really love most about Dr. Simone's story is that she doesn't just teach wellness, she has lived the journey herself from experiencing burnout as a young doctor to building a purpose driven business centered on prevention, balance, and sustainable change. She reminds us that success should never come at the expense of our health. And if you ever felt like you're pouring into everyone else while leaving yourself empty, this is the conversation for you. Dr. Simone, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Yes,
Excited to get into what we're going to be chatting about.
yes, thank you so much. We are truly honored to have you on the Becoming Her podcast.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So before we talk about your work, I just want to know more. And our listeners, I'm sure they want to know more. Who is Simone outside of being a doctor, coach, and entrepreneur?
So I think I see myself as the person who just strives every day to live well. So whether that's having the freedom to create and curate my days, so to say, I love a nice vacation. I love going on vacation, engaging in my hobbies and my interests, taking care of my own health and wellness and my mental well-being as well. And I think in all of that, the focus for me is really always, focusing on the quality of life that I have. And so it's really not surprising that that has become the work that I do and how I help others now. So
Yeah,
that I would say is, me outside of the work I do.
wonderful. So take us
Yeah.
back to the beginning. What inspired you to pursue medicine? And did you always know this was the path you wanted to take?
So interestingly, some people would say that, ever since they were a young child, they always knew they wanted to be, insert whatever career. And for me, looking back, the first memory I had of, being a doctor would have been in my late teens. And I think it started when I visited a office of a OBGYN. I was interviewing for a project for school. And I just loved the vibe of the whole office. She had pictures of all the babies that she delivered, and I was like, okay, this looks like something that I could definitely look into and explore. And I think after that, I really kind of went more into the medicine route. And of course, in our high school system, you do certain subjects that will kind of, lead you to a certain direction. And I was already doing the science subjects. And so at that time, I decided, okay, medicine is an option for me, and I followed through on it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So
Mhm.
during your internship, you found yourself neglecting your own health while caring for others. Can you share what that season was like and what became the turning point for you?
So, hands down, and I talk about this, quite frequently, talking about my journey and, kind of referring it or, giving context to the work I do. Definitely, hands down, to date, that has been one of the toughest seasons that
Wow.
I've had in my life and career so far. And I think maybe at the time it was the pressure of wanting to perform my best as a new doctor. And I think my immediate response to the demands of the job and that added pressure as well was to to be able to do the job to the best of my ability, to neglect certain things in my health and wellness. So whether that was skipping meals just to get things done, not drinking water for hours, not taking breaks, you know, my sleep being affected, and my brain never really turning off because I was just thinking about what happened during the day and what was coming up tomorrow or next
Mm,
week. I think those were the effects that
mm,
happened almost immediately when I started internship.
mm,
So that in a nutshell was the experience in addition to other things. And I think, what was the turning point for me during that time when I realized, okay, this is the environment, the system, the culture that I worked in. And I really didn't see it as something that I could sustain long term.
mm,
I was able to kind of settle into the role after a while, after that year. But I really found because of the way I saw myself living and working, it wasn't
mm.
something that I saw myself in long term. And I knew that something had to change and I had to make a difficult choice to, you know, possibly practice medicine in some other environment.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. You
Yeah.
often talk about sustainable behavior change. Why do you think so many women know what they should do for their health but struggle to stay consistent?
Yeah. So, the knowledge is often there, right? A lot of us, we know the things that make us feel good, the things that give us energy, that make us feel good physically and mentally. But unfortunately, as in my experience, the consistency is often affected because the culture, the systems we work in don't often encourage
Yeah,
and they don't set us up for success, in being able to stay consistent
correct.
with our health, right? So the work schedules that we have that have become normalized, the demands of certain jobs, including medicine and others as well in many other industries, the social things that we have to deal with, the commutes
Yes,
that we have that have become part of how work life is. All of those things affect our consistency. So, for example, imagine a woman who is trying to stay consistent with her movement or exercise. If she works, for example, in Port of Spain and lives in San Fernando, if she has to spend 2+ hours
mhm.
one way, to work to and from, imagine how much of a struggle or a challenge being able to stay consistent with her workout is. Of course, it's not impossible, right? But things like that, the things in our systems, our culture, all of those things kind of affect how
Yeah.
we are able to stay consistent. And one of the things I've said recently is that, 9 out of 10 times, when I speak to women about staying consistent with their health, wellness, all of the things, work often comes up as something that affects it in many different ways. And so, or anything related to work definitely affects our consistency. And then I think, as what happened with me as well as we step into the working world from being students or whatever, we're not really taught
Yeah,
how to balance this
correct.
modern work
I agree.
thing with our well-being, right? And it's something that we need to learn as well, a skill just like anything else. And we just kind of figure it out as we go. And some of us succeed, and some of us take a little longer to figure it out.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I think it should be learning how to balance wellness and work should be part of, work
Yeah.
and a lot of the culture of companies, knowing how to take care of yourself while you spend so much time giving to
Work.
work and taking care of others. And
Correct.
so I think it's a skill that we need to develop. And a lot of us, it's not innate. We're not born knowing how to do it. And so it's something that I think we need to kind of think about as we see how people can better manage their well-being as they work now.
And I would
Yeah.
say, like, talking to the women in my community. Even
Hmm.
myself, I would say like one of the key areas would be time, not enough time to actually be
Yeah.
consistent. And then you work
Yes.
too long and then you're more tired to actually start, for example, exercising. It's like when I was working in the education system, it was so hard to
Right.
one try to exercise. But and then it started to make me feel more down because I felt like I wasn't actually losing the weight.
Yes. Yes.
Drinking water,
Yeah.
you're trying to get by, but you're supposed to drink a certain amount, but you just can't because of the job itself. So I think for me, my consistency, the problem was really time, not enough, to actually
Yeah.
focus on it because your attention is somewhere else. So I think,
Yes.
yeah, with your help, a lot of women will learn how to balance that. I think we just need some direction, and that's where you come in. So such
Yeah.
amazing thing that you're doing. I love that. Even myself as well, sometimes, well, now because I'm more flexible, I manage it
Mhm.
better. But sometimes I tend to fall off track, but I have to keep reminding myself,
Yes.
if you want to grow, you have to manage yourself because your health is so important.
Of course.
Not healthy,
Of
you
course.
can't be they can't move to the way you want to grow. So yeah. So that's a
Yeah.
very good thing.
Yeah,
So
and definitely. I
mm,
think one of the things too, as you mentioned, the time and all of that, I think that's where the support comes in,
yes,
knowing how to still get things done in an easy and manageable way, even if you work full time and you have children too, and you may have other extracurricular things that you're doing, knowing how to kind of look at all of the things that you have going on and still
yes.
be able to manageably, do the things to take care of yourself in the midst of that as well.
And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that because I would
Yeah.
say a lot of women think that, yes, you want to build a business. Yes, you want to continue with your purpose, but you have to know that in order for you to do that, you have to take care of your health and manage your
Right.
your wellness properly in order to move forward. I think sometimes
Yes.
they take your health for granted,
Hmm.
but when you're sick, who's going to show up is only you. So,
Yes, of course.
definitely.
Yeah.
But you made the bold decision to step beyond traditional medicine and build a wellness business. Was that transition ever scary? And what gave you the confidence to take that leap?
Yeah, it was definitely scary. It's still scary today. It's still scary today.
Huh.
And sometimes if I sit and I think about it too much,
Yeah.
I kind of question. And I think this is a common experience for anybody who steps into entrepreneurship and building something of their own. You kind of wonder what did I get myself into, right?
Every day.
And I worked in multiple private roles after leaving the public health system for internship. And even though, I enjoyed certain aspects of it, I never really felt settled. And there was always this feeling that I wanted to do something different and something more. And honestly, what gave me the push and the confidence to take that leap, I was honestly just kind of, frustrated year after year, not necessarily complaining to others, but kind of saying to myself, okay, Simone, I know there's something else that you want, go after it, complaining to myself about things. And then I said, okay, if it is I want something different, if it is I want to create something different, then I have to do something different. And then I got support, and the rest is history. So it was just me. That confidence came from year after year just not getting the results I wanted and deciding, okay, now is the time that I'm going to go after what I want boldly
Mhm.
and making that change and, getting the results that I want.
Yeah, and what stood out for me, what you just said, if I want something different, I have to do something different.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just love that. And it's true because I mean, if you had settled and said, you know what, I'm just gonna be the average doctor, you would have never been happy.
yes,
That's
yeah,
the thing. And what is beautiful is that all of the persons that I've interviewed, they all have the same message like you. It's like, we branch out, we be different, we're not sure where we're going, but we do
yes,
our own thing, which is
yeah.
wonderful. But I just want
Yeah.
to stop you a little bit. Can you just give me an insight of what your wellness business is like?
So right now, I like to say the theme is wellness and work. And so what the aim is to help women be able to build successful careers, but also know that it doesn't have to come at the cost of of their health and well-being. And
Mhm.
so now the way that I am offering that and helping women to be able to do that is through one-on-one coaching, physician coaching. So I'm helping women doctors pivot into private practice or their own private services. So that they can get their first clients while protecting their income as well. And then in keeping with the health and wellness, which is really close to my heart, I have a wellness membership for working women as
Mm,
well, just focused on helping women, be able to stay consistent with their health and wellness during the work week, in a community with other women also wanting to do that as well.
I
So
love
those are the two ways in which I am kind of, you know, helping women in terms of their career and being able to do it in a way that protects their energy,
Mhm.
protects their health and well-being as well.
I love that. Amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so many women listening are juggling careers, families, businesses, and personal responsibilities. What's one mindset shift that has helped you protect your wealth and your health while pursuing success?
There's so many because as I always say that this entrepreneurship and business journey is really a self-development one. So
Mhm.
it's so many like life lessons I get from it. But I think one of the biggest ones is that, I can make an income, I can build a career I love, enjoy, or at least, be content with, and it not being at the cost of my well-being. I think back when I would have started internship, I had that black and white thinking, that all or nothing,
Yeah.
where, that kind of held me back in a lot of ways, where if I happen to show up in my work career, have a income, have a salary, that means that I had to neglect my own personal well-being and my interests as well, right? So, for example, what I would have thought back then is, I can't eat lunch on time and be a present doctor,
Correct.
right? And I had to really challenge that thinking. And I think that really came later down when I started to make that transition into my own wellness practice, especially in the last private employed role that I had. I really kind of put that into practice and I made it a point because I had that experience of not eating on time, kind of skipping lunch to be able to do things. I really made it a point to eat, make sure I was well nourished during the day. Because when you really think about it, and people say it all the time, and it's a kind of cliche thing, but it's so true that if you don't take care of yourself, then the things that you're trying to do, the things that you're pouring into, they don't get the best of you,
Correct.
right? And so if I'm a hungry, frustrated, tired doctor, then I am, giving that energy off to my patients, my
Yes.
clients, all of the people that I am taking care of. And so I think that's an important reminder that, I can do my work, I can do it well, I can be present, and it doesn't have to be that I have to neglect my own needs as well, So
I
I
love
think that's one of the biggest perspectives and things I had to challenge
that.
as I move through this journey.
Yes, and I love that because I would say, I'm from the education system, and I would tell you that so many teachers, they get,
Oh, yes.
yeah, some of,
Mhm.
I'm sorry to say that a lot of them die as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have just chosen to just work like a workhorse, and they don't take their breaks, they don't go to the toilet, they stress, and I've been one of them, so I could really relate to what you're saying. It's only when I decided to do exactly what you said and take my health seriously, then I
Yeah.
realized that a lot of the ailments just left. You
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I wasn't
Hmm.
showing up 100% either for my students because I was really sick. And I was sick because I was doing too much. So yes, I totally get you. And I love that now because now you can have your bowl of food and you can sit down and enjoy it. And then you can get
Yes.
back to work.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. And then you have that renewed energy to have the clarity, the focus to be able to do the best job possible. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a win-win on both sides. When you do it the other way, nobody
Correct.
wins. Yeah,
That's
nobody
right.
wins.
Correct. Correct. Let's just talk about burnout. Burnout has become almost normalized. Hmm. What are some early warning signs women shouldn't ignore, and what practical steps can they take before reaching that breaking point?
I think how I view it is that once you start to experience the symptoms of burnout, I think you may have reached a point, not that it's too late, but you've progressed. It's become, in terms of
Mhm.
the severity of it has progressed, right?
Yes.
And that's the point where you have to start to fix things and heal things, right? And, burnout can look, different ways for different people, but some of the common things I see, is the constant tiredness. Sometimes no matter how much you sleep, you still feel tired, you wake up tired, right? You start to resent the things you once enjoyed and the things that you love, right? And not being able to turn your brain off at night, can all be signs of burnout and the common ones I see.
Yes.
But I think one of the most important things to consider, you know, when you're preventing burnout and kind of getting things in control before it reaches to the point where you start to experience all of those things,
Yes.
is that when you go into any new situation, new or maybe you're just starting or you would have already started it, is to think about how you can step into whatever responsibility, any new thing you have without, needing to overextend yourself
Yes.
or, learning how to say no and all of those things, right? So I think your approach to all of the responsibilities you have, I think that's where it starts.
Yes.
So that's why now I just wanted to give some little insight when I'm coaching doctors now in terms of pivoting into private practice and their own private services. I'm always taking that wellness first approach because sometimes you think, okay, well, I'm escaping the hectic hospital life and I'm going to go into private practice and things are going to be a little better with the burnout and all of that. But you can still be burnt out in private practice. I want everybody to remember
Yes.
that you could still be burnt out, right?
Yes.
And that's because you can take the same approach and behaviors that you would have had in the public health system into your private practice as well, and you kind of recreate that same experience. But
Yes.
I think, preventing burnout starts with kind of taking that wellness first approach and considering how you're going to approach these things, what your boundaries are, what are the things that you're going to do during the day, whether you're scheduling breaks, asking for support, delegating tasks, managing your timelines. All of these things kind of help you to um, prevent reaching the point where you're so overwhelmed with everything and everything comes crashing down, right? So I think it begins with when you start to go into new things. When you realize that, okay, I'm not saying no enough, all of those things kind of help to not get you to that position where you have to start to fix things or it's too late where you have to take medication and all of those things, right? So, always going in with a wellness first approach and how I can make this a sustainable experience,
Yes.
not just for whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's business or motherhood or whatever, but also making it a sustainable thing that I can continue to do without, burning out in the end. Yeah.
Wonderful. But let me
Mhm.
ask you, what does your own wellness routine look like today? Are there any non-negotiable habits that help you stay grounded and energized?
Well, of course, yes, you know that ever since into that experience has really kind of embedded in me that that habit of eating on time
Yes.
because I realized, especially for me, and that's one of the things it's so important to do to realize what are the things that help you to feel your best. And for me, having lunch on time and not waiting too long to have lunch is something that definitely changes the course of my day. And
Mhm.
so, having my meals on time so that I'm able to do what I need to do throughout the day is definitely a
Yes.
non-negotiable for me. And I schedule my day around my meals as well so that,
That's good.
I'm not I'm
Mhm.
not having to do things and it cuts into to my meal time and all of that, right? And so that's one thing. And one of the things that's important to me is journaling. I love to write things
Oh,
down.
that's nice.
I love having my gratitude practice, and I think that keeps me grounded and also present as well.
Yes.
And then movement. Movement
Yes.
has always been a constant
Mhm.
in my journey, and it continues to be, and it helps me to release energy, to decompress after a long day. And so, yeah, movement is definitely one of my non-negotiables, and I love to keep it interesting. I love to change things around,
Yes. Yes.
have variety and all of that. So,
I love
yeah,
that.
those three.
I love that. It's the same with me too, because after a long day of teaching, I normally just, come off the computer, put on my headphones, and I just dance, like a crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so good because you feel so alive when you finish,
Yes.
or start
Yeah.
Zumba classes or whatever it is to just make yourself feel alive. Because, for me, that is one of my main negotiable, as well as that eating healthy and eating on time. I tend to
Yeah.
get irritated when I don't eat, and then, so yeah, I love that. And I really, hope that women are listening and they're also just, going to try these new things that you said. Yeah, so
Yeah,
let me tell
definitely.
you, our podcast, is called Becoming Her. What does becoming her mean to you in this season? And what words of encouragement would you leave, with women who are trying to build a successful life without losing herself in the process?
So I would say becoming her, for me means fully embracing your desires and
Yeah,
how you want to live your life and show up in the world,
yes,
and going for it without putting any limits on yourself.
love that.
Um, yeah, so there's so many things I could say about, encouraging words I could leave with women today. But one of the things I think that would be really helpful, and one of the things that has been really important and crucial in my career was leaning on support,
Hmm.
right? And when you feel the pressure of having to take on everything, do everything on your to-do list, do every task, it can be easy to lose yourself. And that's where the burnout can come into, right? The burnout that we talked about before.
Yes,
And I know support can look different for different people depending on your resources and, the people in your life and your network and all of the things. But it's just about finding out what kind of support would be, appropriate for you depending on what you're doing,
yes,
what your lifestyle is. And it can really help you to be able to do all of the things that you need to do without, um, you know, feeling like you have to give up everything, sacrifice your health and your well-being in the process. And so, support is an important part of the process, and it takes the weight off and it helps you to do more.
I love that.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Mhm.
excellent. So, Dr. Simone, thank you so much for joining us today. This was amazing. I'm also going to take some of the things that you said, I'm going to apply it to my life as well. It is necessary.
Amazing, amazing.
And it is needed. It is really needed, because we are all on our journeys building, and we have to stop and understand that we need to take care of ourselves if it is we really want to build something, a legacy. So,
Yeah.
this conversation has been insightful, encouraging, and such a beautiful reminder, that our health is one of the greatest investments we can make in ourselves. And I just want to say to all our listeners, you need to connect with Dr. Simone. Yes. And
Yes, yes, yes.
yes, and where can they connect with you?
So I'm mainly on two platforms. So Instagram at Dr. Simone Quamina. So you can follow me on there. And I post content regularly on my stories, on my
Yes,
feed. And then there's a link in my bio so you can, with resources. And then of course, if you want to work with me, you can feel free to send me a DM on
yes,
Instagram. That's a great way to connect with me as well. And then I'm also on TikTok.
amazing.
So that's at Dr. Simone Wellness. I connect a little bit. It's a little more casual vibe on TikTok, I
Yes.
talk about life stuff, work, wellness, all of the things. So if you love TikTok, you can follow me on there as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. To everyone listening, I hope today's episode reminds you that success doesn't have to come at the cost of your well-being. You deserve a life where your health, your purpose, and your dreams can thrive together. Small intentional choices made consistently can transform your life. Thank you for spending time with us today. Until next time, remember this: becoming the woman you're called to be doesn't happen overnight. It happens one intentional choice at a time. Take care, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Becoming Her podcast. Bye.